Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're really getting into something that, well, it affects everyone. Failure, how we deal with it. Specifically, we're exploring Martin Meadows' book, From Failure to Success. Everyday habits and exercises to build mental resilience and turn failures into successes. Came out in 2018.
Right.
It's not a huge book, about 150 pages, but it packs a real punch.
It really does.
And our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is to pull out those key strategies, the practical exercises Meadows offers up.
The actionable stuff.
Exactly. The things designed to help us fundamentally shift how we see setbacks, turning them from, something dreadful into something useful, constructive even.
That's a perfect summary. And Martin Meadows, he's really known for that practical, habit-focused style of self-improvement.
Right. Very hands-on.
Very. And this book is a prime example. His main point, failure isn't the end of the road. Not at all.
Just a stop along the way.
Pretty much. He calls it an indispensable checkpoint, on the path to getting better, to growing, to actually achieving things. And like you said, it's not just theory. The book's known for being very straightforward. Simple, no fluff, he calls it.
Easy to grasp.
Yes, clear, practical, with direct steps you can take. And that's what we'll focus on, how you can actually use these ideas right away.
Okay, so let's unpack that, because Meadows isn't just saying, learn to live with failure. He wants a total redefinition.
Absolutely.
We tend to see it as this big negative thing, right? Embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like it said something bad about us.
Yeah, a personal indictment. That's a good way to put it.
But he argues that view is just limiting. So how does he want us to make that shift, that fundamental change in perspective?
Well, what's really interesting is how he pushes us to detach our own self-worth from whatever happens, from the outcome.
Detach self-worth.
Okay. When you manage that, failure stops being personal. It's not you failing. It's just an attempt that didn't pan out as expected, a neutral event.
So less emotional charge.
Exactly. And he wants us to look past the sort of dramatic stories and see every failure as just pure data, feedback.
Data, like in an experiment.
Precisely. Think of it less like a disaster and more like you're a scientist. You ran a test, it didn't work, but now you have crucial information.
Information to adjust the next attempt.
Right. It's about asking, okay, what did this data actually tell me? Not, why am I such a failure?
That is a powerful shift right away.
Right.
But okay, seeing failure as data, that's one step. Actually using that data without, feeling crushed, that takes resilience.
It does, inner strength.
And Meadows puts a huge emphasis on resilience. For most people, though, resilience feels like, I don't know, something you either have or you don't, maybe a bit vague.
He makes it concrete.
What does he say we can actually do? Day-to-day things. To build it up like a muscle.
He gives specific techniques, yeah. For instance, mindfulness. Not just as a trendy word, but as a real tool.
How so?
To keep you grounded in the present, so you don't spiral endlessly replaying mistakes in your head.
Okay, stops the rumination.
Exactly. Then there's cognitive reframing, which he basically simplifies as actively noticing and changing those negative thoughts about what happened as they happen.
Gouging the negativity.
Right. And crucially, emotional regulation. Developing actual skills to handle the frustration, the anxiety, the disappointment that always comes with setbacks.
Managing the feelings.
Yes. And if you connect that to the sort of bigger physiological picture, stronger resilience means you manage your stress response better.
Cortisol levels and all that.
You get it. You keep those in check. You bounce back faster. You can keep going after your goals without being emotionally sidelined for ages.
So it's really about shortening that recovery time. Getting back in the game quicker, not just kind of surviving the impact.
Precisely.
Okay, so you reframe setbacks, you build resilience. The next hurdle is often just sticking with it. Especially when motivation dips.
Yes,
Which it always does, right.
Yeah.
So Meadows really hammers home the power of habits here. How does he argue that consistency beats those bursts of enthusiasm?
Well, he basically says motivation is flaky. You just can't rely on it long term. But daily routines, they create momentum, real unstoppable momentum.
Like pushing a flywheel.
Exactly. He recommends focusing on small wins, tiny, consistent efforts, almost laughably simple sometimes.
Not giant heroic efforts.
No, those often burn out because they need peak motivation. Instead, he talks about setting up your environment, cues.
Like the running shoes by the door example.
That's a classic one he uses, yes. Making the good habit the easy default option. And using habit trackers.
E for accountability.
Accountability, and also just seeing your progress. It builds on itself. Success, he argues, really boils down to what you do consistently, day in, day out, even when you don't feel like it.
Forget waiting for inspiration.
Right. It's that compounding effect. Tiny actions done repeatedly. That's where the magic is.
Okay. Consistency, habits, building momentum. Makes sense. But even with the best habits, that emotional whack from failure can knock you off track.
It really can.
We're often so hard on ourselves, quick to blame, to internalize it. How does Meadows suggest we handle that emotional side? Specifically, self-compassion.
That's a really key piece. How do you talk to yourself when you mess up?
Usually pretty harshly.
Right. So instead of that automatic self-criticism, he says, acknowledge the feelings, the disappointment, whatever it is, but without judging them or yourself.
Just notice them.
Notice them,
Yeah.
accept them, and then forgive yourself for the mistake. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a good friend in the same boat.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Of course. But mastering those emotional responses means you can look at the failure objectively, figure out the data without being paralyzed by shame or guilt.
So the emotion doesn't cloud the lesson.
Exactly. He also touches on delayed gratification and impulse control. Patience, basically.
How does that fit in?
Well, if you have more emotional fortitude, more patience, you're less likely to just throw in the towel after one or two setbacks. You prevent the emotional reaction from making you quit altogether.
Right. Stopping that spiral before it takes you down completely. It sounds like it's about actively preventing yourself from getting stuck, not just bouncing back after you were stuck.
That's a great way to put it.
But then how do you actually get the insights out of the mistakes? We all say learn from your mistakes, but often we just repeat them.
True. Repetition is common.
Does Meadows have a secret sauce for that, for structured reflection?
He does. He emphasizes that failure is only valuable if you consciously unpack it. You have to interrogate it.
Interrogate the failure.
Okay. Yeah, he suggests asking specific questions like, what exact actions led here? What could I have done differently? What outside factors played a role? Were those factors controllable or not?
Getting really specific.
Get very specific. It turns that moment of feeling defeated into an active learning session and helps you avoid the same traps next time.
Any exercises for that?
Yes, a very concrete one, the failure journal.
Okay.
You literally write down significant setbacks,
Sure.
but crucially, for each one, you note down maybe 3 concrete lessons learned from it.
3 lessons.
And one small practical adjustment you'll make next time based on those lessons.
So it forces you to move from just feeling bad to planning the next step.
Exactly. Shifts it from passive regret to active, applied learning.
That sounds incredibly useful, and I imagine this connects to Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset. Meadows brings that up too, right?
It does, yes. It fits perfectly.
The idea that abilities aren't fixed. You can develop them through effort and, crucially, by learning from failures.
Precisely. Meadows frames it very clearly. People with a growth mindset see failures as, temporary things, challenges you can overcome and learn from. Opportunities, really.
Versus the fixed mindset.
Where failure feels permanent, like proof you just don't have what it takes. It's a completely different way of interpreting life's feedback.
And that feedback, that failure, it can be stressful, physically, emotionally taxing.
Definitely.
How does Meadows suggest managing that immediate stress when you're right in the thick of it?
Yeah, he brings in practical stress management, not as an afterthought, but as a core part of the recovery process.
Like what sort of things?
Foundational habits, really. Deliberate breathing exercises to calm the nervous system. Mindful meditation for clarity.
Physical activity, too.
Absolutely. Consistent exercise to release tension. And even gratitude practice.
Gratitude. How does that help with failure stress?
It shifts your perspective, helps you focus on what's still good, what resources you do have, rather than just the negative event. These things directly reduce the physical symptoms of stress.
So you can think more clearly again.
Exactly. Build a more balanced emotional state so you can actually analyze that data objectively right when you need to.
Which ties into the big overarching idea you mentioned, perspective.
Yeah.
How does Meadows encourage us to look at setbacks in the grand scheme of things? Over time.
He really emphasizes how different failure looks with hindsight, over a longer timeline.
Meaning?
What feels like a crushing blow right now might actually be the thing that pushes you onto a much better path later on.
Like a necessary detour.
Or even uncovering opportunities you'd never have seen otherwise. Think about successful entrepreneurs, how many of them say their biggest breakthroughs came right after a major failure.
Yeah, you hear that narrative a lot.
Because the failure forced them to rethink everything. To ditch a flawed approach or pivot to something completely new and ultimately better. Meadows really drives home that today's loss can genuinely be tomorrow's win if you keep that long view.
It really sounds like an essential toolkit, not just for chasing success, but just for navigating life, really, those inevitable bumps.
I think so. Now, maybe if you're, a seasoned self-help reader looking for really deep psychological theory, it might feel a bit concise.
Lighter on the deep theory.
A bit. Its strength is its simplicity and practicality. It's less about healing deep trauma, more about giving you immediate, usable tools for everyday setbacks, for building those strong mental habits. Very accessible.
So as we wrap up this deep dive then, let's quickly recap those 5 big takeaways Meadows wants us to remember from failure to success. These are really the core principles.
Okay.
First, failure is data.
Yeah.
Essential data. Analyze it, don't run from it.
Right. Analyze, don't personalize.
Second, resilience isn't fixed. You can build it, like a muscle, with daily practice.
Small, consistent actions.
Third, habits beat motivation, hands down. Consistent effort wins over short bursts of enthusiasm every time.
Consistency is key.
Fourth, managing your emotions, especially practicing self-compassion, is vital. It protects your progress, stops you getting derailed.
Crucial for staying in the game.
And fifth, perspective changes everything. Today's setback could genuinely be the seed of tomorrow's breakthrough.
But that long-term view.
Exactly.
So summing up the book, From Failure to Success is, a compact guide, very practical. It gives you mental tools to actually turn failure into a growth engine.
Who's it best for, would you say?
Well, definitely anyone looking to strengthen their resilience, sharpen their habits, and learn to embrace failure as that stepping stone. It gets a solid 4.5 out of 5 stars, deservedly so.
Specific groups.
The book mentions entrepreneurs, freelancers, people who face rejection often, students, academics dealing with pressure, professionals in competitive fields, but honestly, any self-improver wanting a really actionable toolkit will get a lot out of it.
Great. So a final thought for everyone listening. As you go through your week, maybe just consider this. What if you started viewing your own challenges, big, small, whatever, not as personal failings, but as Meadows suggests, as essential data?
How would that change things?
Exactly. How might that shift open up new possibilities, new paths you hadn't considered? Maybe those setbacks are nudging you towards something better, something you wouldn't have found otherwise.
To be.
Just reflect on that. How could that simple shift in perspective turn your next failure into your next real breakthrough?
Yeah. And if you enjoyed this, please do like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in.
And we look forward to having you join us for our next deep dive.